Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast. Adventures of one obsessed nutrition coach on a mission to create a world where food makes you better. How are you feeling, guys? I'm having a stuffy nose. And you know what's funny these days? Every time somebody around you sneezes or has a stuffy nose or maybe coughs, we start thinking, even I start thinking the same. I just caught myself thinking about that it's all coronavirus. No, everything, every kind of disease or virus is a coronavirus. I mean, of course, it's not true, but because of all of this information and information that we are constantly bombarded from all resources. We just forget that we used to get sick in spring all the time or in autumn. Those are transitional moments usually when a lot of people catch something, some virus, because the immune system might be going through a lot of stuff, changing of seasons, and maybe you're not wearing enough clothing or not appropriate clothing, or maybe it rains too much or something else. Things happen all the time. It's not news. We always catch some virus usually around this time. So if you start sneezing, or somebody around you starts sneezing, or they have stuffy nose or something else, it doesn't mean that they have coronavirus, guys. Don't be that panicking person who thinks those things. Coronavirus has very specific symptoms, and you need to actually go and check yourself. And more often than not, for most people just have regular cold, nothing special. Speaking about cold, some people think, people into a healthy lifestyle think that if you eat healthy, if you exercise, if you sleep well, you do all these things, some people believe that they become kind of like bulletproof. They never catch anything. They never feel a little bit down. Nothing ever happens to them. Actually, it's not truth. I still can catch a cold sometimes, like this stuffy nose that's gonna be done by tonight probably. But the difference between people who have a healthy lifestyle and who barely take care of themselves the way our bodies is supposed to be taken care of, the difference is how often you get those, and how intense they are, and how fast your body can recover by itself. So for me, getting or catching a cold means yesterday I felt that I have a stuffy nose, and by the end of today it's done. And I don't take any antibiotics. I just make sure that I don't expose myself to additional stress when it's not needed. Like, I don't get cold. I don't specifically do super tough workouts. I drink a lot of hot liquids with lemon. I make sure that I eat super healthy and get my multivitamin and maybe a little bit more vitamin C. And also I make sure that I consume some garlic supplement. So there is special supplement made from garlic that helps your body to kill a lot of bacteria. So anyhow, I do these things and I sleep well. I usually sleep more, like 10 hours, and in a day maximum 2, I feel nothing again, and I have no fever, no nothing, just a little bit off, not as usual. And by the way, runny nose means your body is getting rid of something, and in no condition you should be wanting to stop it. Let your body providing more fluids, more hot fluids, resting more. Let your body get rid of that stuff. And runny nose, getting it all out, that's how your body does stuff. It kills the bacteria, it kills the virus or whatever, and then it tries to remove anything potentially dangerous. So stopping your stuffy nose or runny nose is actually not a great strategy, because it's going to stay inside and you're just going to get sicker. That's just, something related to the viruses and colds everywhere around us. So just a few tips and ideas for you to think about. And now we are getting back to our favorite book of this week, Mindless Eating. Why we eat more than we think. And again, I'm not sure what's the context is. Either we think too little and eat too much, or we just don't think as much about food when it comes to healthy eating. Anyhow, let's get back to practice. We talked about, yesterday we talked about how variety helps us to eat more. Helps meaning we can use variety to eat more healthy stuff, and we can use variety or less of variety to eat less of unhealthy stuff. We also talk about how we can manipulate different tools like Ziploc containers to manage portions of foods that we tend to overeat, and how we can also hide healthier foods in quote-unquote unhealthy foods, like for example how we can replace a regular pasta with shirataki noodles and cut calories and carbs and fats and everything, and still have the same amazingly tasting delicious meal with some pasta, but pasta made of different stuff. So we talked about that. Today we're talking about how we can change the pace of our eating through modifying our environment. Because guys, first of all, when you eat slower, studies show, and in the book there are many examples of that, when we eat slower, our gut has the time to transmit the signal that we are getting full to our brain. It is estimated that it takes approximately 20 minutes for that signal to go from your gut to your brain, like for your body to actually start absorbing, metabolizing nutrients, and then your brain gets a signal and your hunger goes down. But a lot of people these days just inhale food, and so by the time those 20 minutes pass, people already eat too much. And in order for you to slow yourself down, besides consciously doing that and chewing slower, you can actually change your environment and use different foods to slow yourself down naturally, and that will work better long term because you don't have to think about it. You just change your habits for life, and that will help you to keep the results for life. A lot of people are also asking me, why don't I just go on a diet and I lose all the weight and that's it? I don't have to think about changing my environment or my habits. But guys, that never works. And you probably know when you go on a diet, on a very restrictive diet that you constantly have to think about, you go on a diet, you lose weight, and then because it's a very unnatural thing to be on a diet all the time, especially it's a very restrictive, especially if it's against your regular lifestyle, you go on a diet, you lose weight, you go off the diet, and you get all the weight back because you never build the different habits. But these habits that we are talking about, like slowing down your eating, for example, naturally, using certain foods, using certain environment, you learn it for life, and then you can apply it anywhere, and it doesn't feel like you're on a diet. And as the author of the book, Mindless Eating, says, the best diet is the one that you don't know you are on. And I totally agree with that. I managed to maintain my results, like super lean body mass, eating super healthy all the time. I managed to maintain that because at some point I figured out that yes, dieting doesn't work long term, but changing my habits and changing the environment where I eat and how I organize it, that can work for life. And then it feels like no work at all. For me, for example, eating carrots at the beginning of each of my meal, it's one of those hacks that helps me. First of all, when I eat carrots, whole carrots, it takes me like 20 minutes to eat those carrots. Even 2 big carrots, it's like 20-25 minutes to chew it all. And so my brain and my gut, they're already getting this signal that, okay, we are getting food and we are kind of already full. And by the time I get to my main dish, I'm so full, I'm feeling so full that I have no desire for any snacks because I just feel I'm so full because that signal, for example, from my gut to my brain already there for half an hour because I've been eating carrots, and then I eat salad, and then those whole foods, protein rich, that also require chewing. Like, you can't really inhale a piece of fish or chicken. You actually also gotta chew it, compared to something like a protein shake or a meal replacement or some snack that melts in your mouth. Those things makes you eat faster, and also the signal doesn't have time to travel from your gut to your brain, and so you eat, and in 20 minutes you can eat like 1,500 calories, and you don't even notice that you're still hungry. So eating slowly, guys, how you can use food and environment to help you to eat slower automatically without having to count how many times you chew your food, or having timer telling you how slow you should eat. First of all, the light in your environment. Soft light compared to really bright light, the one that you will see in a lot of fast food chain restaurants. Soft light helps you to slow down, and it also makes you feel less stressed. And when you're less stressed, you digest your food better, you eat slower automatically, and you eat better. So lightning. Eat with somewhere with natural light, sunlight or soft light. If it's inside, dim lighting works better. Then bright light. Again, bright light makes you eat faster, because also, fast food restaurants, they're not interested in you staying there longer. They're interested in you buying a lot of food, eating it as fast as possible, and letting other customers take your place. That's why they have this noise and bright lightning, because they're not interested in you staying longer. So soft lights, use it, guys. Don't eat in a brightly lit and noisy room. Soft music, less noise, also helps you to eat slower. It calms you down. Less people. Guys, if you're in a place where there is like a lot of people, one of those food courts, you tend to eat more, because your body and your brain, that they're so overwhelmed with all these stimulation, all these noises, people talking, people moving around, people eating a lot of different foods. Like, you just, your sensors, your senses are overwhelmed, and you tend to eat more. So try to be in a place, maybe find more of like a corner place where you are maybe with one or two people. That will help you to improve your eating habits by default, eating slower, paying more attention to your food. And the more attention you pay to your food, the slower you eat, and usually the more satisfied you feel with your meals. And that long term means less food in general and easier weight loss. And also make sure that people who eat around you, ideally also slow eaters and into healthier eating, people around us influence our eating behaviors a lot. Like my personal story, I have two roommates right now in Switzerland, in Zurich, and whenever I'm in any environment, here, for example, people around me start eating better by default. Just because they see how I eat, they see how much energy I have, they see how much joy I'm getting of eating all this variety of healthy foods, because I don't eat some chicken breast and broccoli all the time with their boring face. No, I eat berries and nuts and seeds and chocolate, and I cook all the time, like all these fun, colorful veggies, and there are all these like carrots and bell peppers and fruit. And so my food always looks fun, and I'm having fun cooking it and eating it. And also I have a lot of energy, I have a lot of health, and people get infected by that, by that happy, joyous feeling, and they also want to eat healthier and feel better. And it happens automatically. Like with my parents, the same thing. Now they eat avocados and sardines and bell peppers and Brussels sprouts. This is what happens when you have people with better habits, people with habits that you'd like to have. That would happen. So you change your habits too automatically. So surround yourself with people eating what you want to be eating, right? That's going to help you to change your habits for life too. As they say, you are the average of 5 people that surround you the most the most. So make sure those are good people that promote your better habits. Also, a funny fact, also proven by studies, when guys and women eat in a company, women tend to eat less actually, especially if we are on a date, or even if we are on a date with our girlfriends, just two of us or three of us. Women tend to eat less, whereas guys tend to eat more. On a date too, they think that it has something to do with masculinity, with strength, and being able to eat more means that you are stronger and more capable as a male. So anyhow, males seems to eat more when in company. Females seem to eat less. That's just something you might also use. Go on a date more often. I don't know. But yeah, slow eating. To sum it up, to slow down your eating naturally and for life, make sure that you eat in a place that is kind of more or less relaxing. Soft lights, soft music, no noise, no crowds of people. And I forgot to say that, of course, there are kinds of foods that help you to slow down your eating. Like, again, one of my personal rules, every time I start my meal, I start with raw, whole carrots. And usually those are a little bit bigger carrots, because bigger carrots make you chew even more. And so it takes me like 20 minutes to just eat my carrots. By the time I finish eating my carrots, I already start feeling full. And that helps me to slow down my eating. That helps to set a slower pace of eating, but it also brings the feeling of fullness much faster. Other foods that help you to slow down your eating without packing up a lot of calories: protein-rich foods like your meats, like your fish, whereas again, something that melts in your mouth, that promotes the fastest eating and makes you consume a lot of calories really fast. And actually, a lot of companies who produce different snacks, they specifically design foods to melt in your mouth, because they know that the faster you get the taste, the faster it disappears from your palate, and also the more intense the flavor is. The faster you're gonna eat, the more you're gonna eat, and the more you're gonna buy to eat more. So those foods are specifically designed to be addictive in that way. Melt in your mouth, give you a really intense flavor, and then you wanna go and buy and eat more. So slow eating. Then things like small dishes, guys, they help you to set a standard for a portion size. And when you eat smaller portions, you of course eating less without thinking about it. And also, our brain is designed that way. So when you have a bigger plate, for your brain, it means that this is kind of like a serving size. And so if you put a tiny portion on a big plate, your brain will think that this is this is really tiny, this is really small, and you're not gonna get full. Like, your brain gets into this lack mentality. Whereas if you have really tiny plate, but you put food all over it, almost like falling down from your plate, your brain actually thinks that this is much more food and you are gonna get super full. So using small plates but putting seemingly more on them actually helps you to reduce calories, again, without thinking about it. So for example, if you're in a buffet restaurant, maybe don't take a big plate, maybe take a small plate, maybe take a couple of small plates, but fill them in. So that's another practical thing that you can apply right now. So go for smaller plates, for smaller glasses, unless that glass is for water. Then get the whole jar and drink all the water you can think of. So small dishes. By the way, color makes a difference too. Dark blue color, for example, is the color that promotes the least amount of hunger. So basically, eating from blue dishes, dark blue dishes, helps you also to manage your hunger much better. There was something I wanted to tell you, but completely... my recent discovery, Lindt chocolate. makes this 99% cacao bar. So it's tiny amount of sugar that you can't even taste, but 99% of it is just cacao butter and cacao powder. And so the bar looks big, but it's made super thin. And so it looks just as big as your regular 100 grams or 3 ounces bar, but it is only less than 2 ounces or 50 grams because it's big, but it's thin. And they made it that way to save money because cacao butter, cacao beans cost more than sugar and milk that they add to other bars. So they made it big, but at the same time thin and light to save money because that bar costs the same as 100 grams of their other chocolate. But that made me think actually that if other companies design their chocolate or snacks that way, so they look big, but they actually not big, like for chocolate bars, it would mean make them look big, but make them thin, make them thin, and our brain would think that we are getting the same bar because our brain is so easy to fool like that. And so it made me think how we can, in a smart way, how a lot of companies can use in a smart way those optical illusions or other tools to help us manage our portions better. Because with a bar from Lindt, for example, my serving size is half a bar because it's again 50 grams, so 2.5 ounces, even somewhere 2.5 ounces, I believe. But at the end of the day, it's actually less than 2 ounces. But at the end of the day, half of that bar is just 25 grams or less than 1 ounce. So you're not getting a lot of chocolate, but you think you are. Our brain thinks we are. So all those things matters. And that's just, another real life example that showed me that. So now that you know that our brain is really easy to fool by many things like lightning and noise and what people you eat with and how many of those people and what kind of foods you eat, whether they make you chew slower or faster, how fast they melt in your mouth, big dishes versus small dishes, blue dishes versus red and orange dishes. Red and orange, by the way, guys, they stimulate your appetite. So if you have colored dishes, make sure they're kind of like bluish, maybe purplish. Use those tools. Like today we talked about how to slow down your eating through light, through soft music, less people, chewing foods that make you chew slower automatically, like carrots at the beginning of your meal, or what else? Or some protein at the beginning of your meal. By the way, that actually helps you to regulate your blood sugar. When you eat a lot of fiber and a lot of protein at the beginning of your meal, followed by carbohydrate-rich foods like maybe potatoes or pasta, your blood sugar doesn't raise that much. So keep that in mind too. And all of these habits, guys, we talked through our last 3 episodes, will help us to build habits that we can keep for life, that we can be indeed on a diet that we don't even know we are on, and that at the end of the year, when you do it consistently, will end up in 20-30 pounds a year. It's worth it, guys, and then you can continue for life without having to be on any diet. And that's what all people who can maintain their weight and health for life do. They make sure that they install habits that work for them without thinking about that. And by the way, guys, today I got approached by a woman, and she asked about my coaching services. And then I told her about my coaching services, but then she said, I probably need more consulting service. And I said, I can provide that too, but there is a difference. And the difference is, guys, So when I consult someone, I give them the information, of course, based on your health history, based on your goals, based on like what you want to achieve, and where you are in life, what works for you, what works for you, what kind of information you need. So I provide you, plans and programs, and will give you my best advice on how to best implement it in your lifestyle to get the results in the most efficient and effective way. So this is consultancy, and I charge $150 for an hour call before I send you a questionnaire to make that call more efficient, and then I provide a program for you: lifestyle, nutrition, health, weight loss, fitness, and that program. And then you can ask me questions as you follow that. And so that again costs $150 US dollars. But then I do coaching, and that's where I help the most of my clients, where I make most of my money. And coaching is different because coaching, it's not just giving you information, the best tools. Coaching is also actually walking you through the process, making sure that you know how to apply the information that I'm giving you, and for your specific life situation, and not just for now, but for your life. So you get the results, and you get to keep them for life. So coaching, it's more me working alongside with you, making sure that we make the changes, that we get the results, and you also are able to maintain those results for life on your own. Whereas consultancy, it's more like I provide you the tools, I provide you the information, but then you are on your own, and you do the troubleshooting, and you do the tracking of results, and you do all of that. But I do provide all of this in case you need some support, some coaching, some consulting. So reach out, and email you can find in the show notes. But anyhow, guys, so make sure that whatever you learned about these last 3 episodes, you apply into your life. If you have any questions, not sure about things you heard, always feel free to reach out. I answer a lot of questions completely free of charge, because that also helps me to learn more about you, about what kind of difficulties people have, and how I can provide better solutions. I learn a lot from people's questions, so feel free to reach out at any time using my email or any of my social media accounts. Share this episode with anyone who is struggling with weight loss, with fat loss, with changing their habits, eating, lifestyle, sleep, stress, fitness. A lot of people are struggling in our overcomplicated health and food and movement environment. So share this episode to help others. Thank you for listening, guys. Tomorrow we're going to be talking more about movement and another amazing book that I read. It's called Joy of Movement. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. Going to be a lot of practical advice as always. And again, thank you for staying with me through this episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for all the love and feedback that you are giving me. And till next time, as usual, well, first of all, stay virus and especially coronavirus free, and eat better daily.